Hello again, and welcome to another audio-visual presentation of Chuck's Common Sense. I'm Chuck Vipperman. Again, going to try to do this a little bit more again as the urge hits me. It is Monday, June the 25th, and had a couple of people comment on my last video wanting to know why I was always wearing gray t-shirts. Do I have something other than gray? Yeah, I've got all kinds of t-shirts I wear that are not colored gray. I just don't wear them very often. I go with comfort down here in the man cave / office. Anyway, an eventful weekend. Wanted to kind of move everything around this one incident in particular that happened late Saturday afternoon in California. The reliably sloppy Maxine Waters, the longtime congresswoman from California, made a public appearance apparently in the Sunshine State, the Golden State, and she had this to say in reference to Donald Trump's cabinet officials and how people can voice their displeasure at the recent controversy surrounding immigration policies.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
Well, isn't she special? Maxine has never been accused of having the burden of intelligence. She stopped short of overtly asking for violent reprisals. If you had a good lawyer, you could certainly win in a court of law if someone were accusing you of inciting a riot with this. But this is how bad things start. Again, I understand the frustration. I felt frustration from 2009 through 2016 when there was a president in the White House that I routinely disagreed with. Never once did it cross my mind to actually confront someone in his cabinet or him himself. That thought is just so foreign to me. At no point did I think President Obama and his minions were evil, Nazis, misguided, yes, sometimes frustratingly dumb, simply my polar opposites on all things politics and in terms of social views. Never once did I, or really anybody I know, think about making them uncomfortable in public. This comes, of course, on the heels of several incidents where Trump officials have been made to feel quite uncomfortable in public. The head of the Department of Homeland Security last week was shouted out of a Mexican restaurant in D.C. Later, protesters showed up outside of her home, playing audio of children in some of the detention facilities at the border at a very loud volume, screaming shame at her when she had the audacity to leave her home, go into her car to go to work. Later, the Republican Attorney General of Florida, Pam Bondi, was harassed as she was leaving a movie screening. Again, not bothering anybody, but out in public, and because of her associations with Trump and immigration policies that are unpopular with some, she was harassed in public. This is not the road you want to go down. Trust me. Only bad things are going to happen if you continue to insist on behaving like this. I have been keenly interested in the hours since the Maxine Waters interview to see if Democratic lawmakers, pundits, whatnot, are going to be taken to task for these comments. They are incendiary, no doubt about that. Certainly, every time Trump says something stupid or tweets something stupid, and that happens far too often for my taste, Republicans, those in his cabinet and whatnot, are asked, do you endorse this? Do you support this? Is this something you're behind? I have only seen that once in reaction to Maxine Waters. It was on CNN, a reporter interviewing a New York Democratic congressman, and the congressman gave a typical slimy politician's answer. That is to say, no answer.
Are you comfortable with that, telling members of the administration, supporters of the president in this case, they're not welcome anymore in a restaurant?
I love Auntie Maxine, and she's an iconic member of Congress and a great woman. Look, I think we should not be trapped into these side stories, right, about whether or not people get angry at you at a restaurant, at a store. I have constituencies. Some of them love me and some of them don't like me that much. That's what the nature of public service is. So to get sidetracked into these debates about whether or not somebody was welcome at a restaurant takes our eyes off of what's going on in America
today. We are
today.
laser focused on these 2,000 kids, and we've been talking about them a great deal. Doesn't mean we don't have time to ask a question about what's right and civil. I'm just asking you, are you comfortable with what Maxine Waters just said?
I love Maxine Waters. I don't think that the debate should become an episode of The Apprentice.
What I am anticipating, unfortunately, from this is we will get what I like to call the Republican pounce stories, where we get the headline, Republicans take Waters to task for remarks, as though the story is not Waters' remarks, but the reaction to it. It is as predictable as the sunrise. So much for Michelle Obama's statement of when they go low, we go high. This is not going high at all, is it? Now, of course, the most conspicuous incident from the weekend was Sarah Sanders, the president's controversial and, quite frankly, abrasive press secretary, being thrown out of a small niche restaurant in Lexington, Virginia, a town I love. My wife and I routinely go up and down I-81 and US 11 in the Shenandoah Valley, stop off at little hamlets here and there. Been to Lexington several times. I know I haven't been to the Red Hen. I've seen it, but I haven't gone there, and I sure as hell won't go there now. Evidently, she and some friends went in Friday to have a meal. They had already gotten the cheese portion of the meal, we understand, when the owner of the restaurant peeked inside and told Sanders that she had to go, that the waitstaff was not willing to serve her. Well, she didn't make a scene. Sanders left. She did tweet about this on her official account. Probably should have done it on her private account, but that's neither here nor there. After it had gone viral, apparently some of the wait staff at the restaurant had already tweeted out the information. It was going viral, so she went ahead and just told her side of the story, basically that, I left and that's that. It says more about her than it does me, what have you. I've made my thoughts on this situation clear. The owner is perfectly within their rights to refuse service to anyone they do not want to serve. I may not like that, but I have to give them that right. Much like I didn't care much for the Colorado baker's stance on refusing to cater a gay marriage, but I have to give him that right. In both cases, the owners of the business used or decided to not offer services based on their closely held beliefs. I don't have to agree with the beliefs, but I do have to let them be able to determine what their beliefs are. Not interested in having the government determining who has the right beliefs and who has the wrong beliefs. So anyway, that having been said, the owner was perfectly within their rights to ask Sanders to leave. Waters' comments, though, are something a little bit different. I have heard people defending her comments by saying, Chuck, what would you do if you were in Germany in the Wehrmacht in 1932 and saw all this unusual political activity going on around you that you did not like? Would you say nothing? So we come to Godwin's law. At some point in the debate, the person losing the debate is going to compare the opponent to Hitler. Well, the very fact that you can post tripe like this and not have to worry one bit about the government shipping you off to a gulag somewhere indicates that we're pretty damn far away from Nazi Germany. We're not even pointed in that direction, folks. I know it makes you feel noble to think you're fighting Nazis. Makes you seem like you have an impressive dragon that you're ready to slay. That's simply not the case. You're not ennobling yourself. You're beclowning yourself. And when I hear comparisons of this to Nazi Germany, I tune you out and I disregard everything you say. So be it. Waters' comments also, of course, came about a year or so after an obviously disgruntled Democrat thought he would take matters into his own hands when he learned that it was a group of Republican congressmen practicing baseball at a field He decided to go back to his car, get his weapons, and open fire. Representative Steve Scalise of Louisiana was critically wounded. He has fortunately since recovered. But when you see your opponents as nothing more than the enemy, then you were giving yourself license to do just about anything to take care of that enemy. It is frustrating, I'm sure, for Democrats, but there is a right way to respond and a wrong way. When you're a toddler and you have no constituency, no power, and something frustrates you, you act out. When you're a teenager, filled with angst, something frustrates you, you have no power, you vandalize. When you're a Democrat these days, it seems like when you're frustrated and you have maneuvered yourself out of power, you stop debating and you lash out. This is what it looks like when you have lost all your political teeth and you no longer have the monopoly on information dissemination that you did so many years ago. It ain't pretty. It's akin to watching the death throes of an animal that's dying. It's not pretty. You can step back from the brink, though. If you think you are perfectly within your rights to go up to an otherwise anonymous Trump administration functionary and harass them while they're trying to have dinner with their family, they're not the bad guy. You are. You've been listening to Chuck's Common Sense. Have a great week, everyone.